Welcome to the Night Shift Court podcast. I'm Pidge.
And I'm Moen.
We are two shift-working fantasy book lovers and love nothing more than leaving reality behind for a bookish adventure.
Join us as we go under the mountain to discuss our favourite fantasy fiction tales and the authors behind them. Come with us to explore the stories, one shift at a time.
Hey ladies.
Hi! Welcome back.
I'm so excited.
And if you're new here, welcome, because I have a feeling that some people, if you're anything like me, are too OCD to jump in to a podcast at a particular time. So if this is your big reset button, press it.
Yeah.
Because this is the beginning.
And if you found us by reading Stacia Stark's books,
Yes.
welcome.
Welcome. You are in for a ride. I almost feel sorry for you.
Yes.
This episode is oddly dedicated to the actor Matthew Lewis because on my hydro jug is the best sticker that I have ever seen in my entire life. And if you're not watching, firstly, you probably should be, but it says, "I long for your bottom." And he played Neville Longbottom in Harry Potter. He's a fabulous actor, just by the by. He was really good in, is it Me Before You? That one.
I don't know. All I know is he got really hot.
He did. He did get really hot. So
Yeah.
fucking
Snaps for
Matthew
you.
Lewis.
Snaps for your bottom.
which I long for. And anyone who looks at this while I'm sipping on water at work, I long for your bottom too, really. I don't discriminate.
All right. We're talking chapters 1 to 5.
Yeah. So we're into the Kingdom of Lies series by Stacia Stark. Book 1 is A Court This Cruel and Lovely. And I honestly, the only reason Pidge has read this is because I banged on about it so much.
Yes.
And I was like, you have to read this. You have to read it. And she read the first two.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are. It's our follow-up to ACOTAR. So if you loved ACOTAR and you love romantasy, this one has all my favourite tropes. So let's get into it.
Prisca and her brother, Tibris, stand in the crowd watching Abbas. There's a lot of names. There's 3 straight up in the first sentence.
Bear with us.
Now, I'll clarify. Abbas is a small boy. Not small, 25, but, a boy.
Yeah.
He is small for me because I'm 35.
Oh, God.
And he stands on a high platform watched over by several of the king's guards in the village square. He's described as ashen-faced and Prisca's brother bets 10 copper coins that he will vomit. And it instantly reminded me, it's giving Bruce and Mrs. Trunchbull.
Oh, with the chocolate cake.
Yeah.
All I could think about was the copper coins, is it immediately sets the tone of like a time.
Ye old.
Ye olde worldy yesteryear.
Yeah,
and I love it.
Yeah.
We've established that it's Abbas's birthday because it further reinforces that it's a simpler time. They describe it him seeing 25 winters, not just
25 years
he's turning
old.
25. It's his 25th birthday.
It's his 25th winter.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to say it from now on. Oh, it's your 36th winter. Oh.
And she will, folks. She will. So we know we're about to witness a special kind of ceremony where he's going to have some sort of his power returned to him because he has reached a certain age.
And surrounding him are the king's guards. Now, they're all wearing maroon and gold, which we all know is Gryffindor.
And the Lannister house.
Yeah, all that.
Yes.
And the priestesses are in blue.
Of course they are.
Ravenclaw.
Or Ianthe.
Or Ianthe.
Yes.
And the king's assessor is in black with a silver brooch. Snape.
Snape.
Severus. Snape.
Severus.
Snape.
Dumbledore.
Snape. Severus. Snape.
Dumbledore.
Hermione. As you were.
So, importantly, it says, if Abbas was found to have somehow defied the gods, his mother and father and sister would be instantly slaughtered right before he was taken to the city to burn on God's day. each baby is essentially born with a power that is sacrificed to the gods, and it's held within something called an Oceatus stone. After they are born and they sacrifice their power, a whisper of their power remains in their body, and until their 25th birthday or winter, they are bestowed some of it back, enough to contribute to the village.
Yep.
I feel like this is very tithe
Yes.
giving.
Yes.
And also,
yes.
I'm not sure it goes to the gods.
I feel like at this point when I first read it, I was like, oh, I'm sus.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
am sus. There is a scheme afoot.
Yeah, there he is.
The king's assessor, what he does is he steps forward and he holds his hands close to Abbas's face, and it's his task to see if he's somehow hidden his magic all these years. So essentially, when he was born, the gods would have rejected his gift and he would have hidden it. After a moment, he steps back and shakes his head though. Abbas, good.
Good. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up, Abbas.
You know what it reminds me of? The golden eggs in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, where they drop on the thing and
Yes.
one says good and the other
Yes.
one goes brr and they fall
Yeah.
down. And then who is it? Is it one of the people lands on it, and obviously they're not a good golden egg, so
No.
off they go.
I wondered if there was a trap door
Yes.
under this
Bloop.
wood. Yep. Just-
No, I'll tell you what there is though.
What?
What there is if you're corrupt or a person who has hidden their power, their family obviously gets deaded, they get slaughtered, and the corrupt get slapped with manacles and off they go. And we know not exactly what happens to them, but I'm assuming it's some sort of form of torture and ridiculousness.
Yes.
The priestess explains that the enemy are clearly the Fae who threaten their way of life. And so she's professing to everyone now. The blue circle is a mark that is bestowed upon you when you get your power back, and it essentially means freedom and a level of security in the village for anyone who may be trying to fool a king's assessor that they're not corrupt. Priska, in her true female main character energy, is like, why the fuck does it have to be like this?
Yes. After Abbas is celebrated, he is good. The twins are next. So
Yeah.
there's 3 more people standing behind him. 3 more winters have
3
been
more.
seen. And there's twins. So good, both of them.
Yes.
Fine, no issue.
Good golden egg.
Yeah, good golden egg for you. Now, Lena skips past, confident old our Lena.
She's ready.
Smiling at her grandparents, waving at the crowd.
The royal wave, and it reminds me of the graduation ceremony,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
She's ready to go whoop
Yeah.
and be done.
Correct. And the assessor comes to her and puts his hands over her head and he smiles and he says, the magic of luck right here where it shouldn't be. So she is a corrupt. Her gift was rejected by the gods and she has had her magic. Now, luck is a passive power, so she wouldn't have even known that she had it. It wasn't
Exactly.
something she could physically do. It just naturally happened around her, right?
What a dupe. And what has she got for this?
Yes.
What, I want to know. What has she lived? A life full of luck. She's still in the village.
She's still poor.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
She's on the slum side of the village.
She's still got to present. I don't think she's lucky. She's getting assessed, and we'll find out what happens in just a mo.
Lucky would have been her just like tripping and falling into the priestess's hand who accidentally marked her with the blue circle.
And then be like,
Never mind. We'll just let that one go.
yeah, good golden egg.
Good golden egg. Boop. Now, her grandparents are instantly beheaded. And the crowd reacts in a panic, right? And everyone's scattering and several chickens get free of their cages. And this is the shit that she's got to deal with. That's her luck. 7 chickens, not goose, not eggs.
No.
7 literal chickens
Yeah.
trip the guards over when they're pursuing her.
Yeah.
Literally, that's her luck. Poor Lena, she's deady dead.
I'll tell you who doesn't have luck. The village butcher. In butcher style, gets absolutely slaughtered by arrows for who knows what fucking reason.
Just because he moved. Everyone's moving. Maybe he's the biggest of them all. You know, butchers are like typically like those
Yeah.
big, and they wear white aprons. It's quite a target.
Por-
I would
porky
say. Yes,
blokes.
yeah, that's right.
I mean, all the meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
think of all the meat they can have now. Oh, there's no butcher
Oh.
to cut it up. Terrible.
Yeah.
Now, the assessor somehow gets control of the situation. Honestly, I don't know. It's usually by yelling, which is what I do. And he announces that the king has announced that there's a bounty, and it's 100 gold coins to anyone who informs the king's guard that they know a traitor or a corrupt.
Yeah, and no one benefited from Lena because Lena didn't even benefit from Lena.
No.
Again, proving luck she
had
none.
Yeah.
Priska is nauseous as fuck.
Yes.
And she's panicking internally because she knows she's got some power that she's not meant to have.
Yes.
And it just reminds me of Feyre because she has naught reliability on her upchuck reflex.
Yes.
So she's choking it down.
Very true. And she starts to walk backwards. When is that a good idea?
No, very
in a panic.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
And of course, she has not the gift of luck and she trips over her cloak, which she goes backwards. She's caught by somebody from behind and she turns and looks at him and he's mostly covered. He's got the scarf around the lower half of his face and a hood. So it's really only eyes and eyebrows. You can tell a lot from eyebrows. But anyway, she notices his green eyes. In fact, she's been dreaming about those same eyes for over a month.
Yes.
Hello?
Dark yet vibrant with flecks of silver. And just like that, as Carrie Bradshaw would say, he's gone. Then we get introduced to several other characters who we'll just quickly breeze over before we ease into chapter 2. Now, Thol, a ruggedly handsome, smiling at Priska constantly, whose cheeks heated at this.
Oh, he's the ruggedly handsome man.
Yeah, but he's not. I mean, anyway, we'll continue on. Chista is his sister. She's a bit younger than Priska. And Creelaw, a very annoying man who I've dubbed
the Gaston of the village.
The village bully.
Yeah.
A smug fuck, basically. Yeah. If you've watched White Lotus 3, he's Arnold Schwarzenegger's son. That's the best way I can explain it to you. I know you wouldn't have done that because you're looking at me like, what in the actual bejeebies are you talking about?
I was going to say, if you've seen Beauty and the Beast.
Gaston, yes. We get more depth to the relationship between Priska and Asinia, who are obviously besties, and they ride or die, kind of like you and me.
Yes.
Yes. And
both corrupt.
Both well corrupt. However, Asinia has absolutely no idea about Priska's hidden power that we know of, obviously. Asinia has her mother's talent in relation to being a seamstress, and Priska laments that type of simple life because she knows that she's basically never going to have that because in a few short winters, she's going to be dead or gone.
Bad golden egg.
She knows she has to leave the village prior to her 25th birthday because she cannot be subjected to the priestess's bullshit, okay?
No.
The assessor
I
will
would die.
fuck her up.
I would die if I had to listen to that.
Correct.
For 25 years, every winter. When is it once a year? And it's like everyone who turned 25, or is it on your actual birthday?
No,
if
because
you lived
they
in a
can't
big
have all had the
village-
same birthday. The twins obviously did.
Yeah.
But
Lena's
the others,
gone. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, but the others, surely they're doing it once a year or once,
Surely.
I don't know, once a winter.
Once a winter.
Potentially, whatever. Asinia walks Priska home and Priska goes inside. She knows that the house is unnaturally and eerily quiet for this time of night. She finds her mother in the middle of a vision. Now, I don't know about you, but all I thought about in this moment was Professor Trelawney
Yes.
with the hand on the Harry going, something about the Dark Lord and something about the prophecy. And Harry shitting himself because she actually is, for once, doing her job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree. I agree. Visions are like a classic magical thing and it's very boring. Give me something good like chickens and luck. Lorien. Okay, new characters. There's so much to absorb. Yes. I love the character building and the world building.
Me
FYI.
too. Yes.
It's fantastic, but we are simplifying it because there's a lot of new names that we're not used to saying.
Yes. Oh, well, you're not used to saying.
So go ahead. Lorien and
Rethos.
Rethos.
It actually is pronounced Rythos in the audio, but I can't. My brain has just gotten used to Rhysand versus Rhysand, so I'm not switching back.
Okay, yep.
Marth.
More.
Every time you type it, it comes out morph. So
And then I can't pronounce it any other way
No.
than morph. I love him.
we've got Cavis,
Yep.
Gallon,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a delicious posse of men on horses.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find out. But first, we'll set the scene. So the cursed city has once been the capital of Eprotha, and humans invaded what was known as the Barren Continent centuries ago. The capital's now called Lesdrin, on the other side of the kingdom, and these folk are headed to a meeting of some sort.
Oh, they also refer to it as the cursed city,
Yes.
which is now inhabited by a being called a stone hag.
It's giving...
Me cross Gollum.
That's not what I wrote. The surreal mixed with Brie Allen.
Dehydrated.
Dehydrated
Grey,
bestie,
wrinkled.
withered crone.
Skin,
Yeah.
dry, dust. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
giving Gollum female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah. They go to the city and they beckon for the stone hags to come out. And Lorien uses what little power he has left, interesting, to turn a once watchtower into rubble as a threat. He knows they're inside watching them and just refusing to come out. They then do emerge very slowly, and the one in the middle wears a crown, which is giving Brie Allen.
Yeah.
And she says the bargain has changed. We require more gold. And she tries to manipulate them, saying that she knows why he needs this particular moss that she happens to have in a vial. And Lorien doesn't believe her and argues that if she tells the king about him, then he would likely come and turn this crumbling city to dust anyway. So the hags actually agree to the original deal. Drama for naught.
Yeah.
The exchange is made. And then all of a sudden, a falcon swoops in overhead, and Lorien recognises it as the bird his brother had specifically trained so they could send messages to one another.
Not nearly as attractive as Hedwig. And
Correct.
not nearly as clumsy as Percy's stupid owl, whatever his name is.
However, it's the ye old version of what we discovered the other night, which is you can link your Apple Watches together and talk to each other like a walkie-talkie. And it's the best thing I've discovered. And like I could talk to you even when I was at home, which is fabulous. I don't have to call you anymore.
I know. We haven't done it since because you've forgotten it, most likely.
It's on charge.
Yeah, oh, Roger. It is quite amusing, when you're at home and you think a walkie-talkie you have to be in range, but not
No.
with an Apple Watch. It's like toys for grown-ups.
Yes, it's brilliant.
Anyway.
Now, the said bird has a message, and it says that they need to actually travel back the opposite direction to which they came,
Oh, this sends Lorien.
and which means going backwards, essentially. They've travelled for days, and now they're like, oh, okay, well, now we've got to turn around.
Fair. I would also be raging if I had to travel backwards. There's nothing worse.
Now, he writes a quick and witty reply, but they do refer to each other as the first letter of their name,
Yeah.
which is a key point.
Yeah. So Lorien's brother sends a love note and their banter is quite refreshing. And so Lorien signs his as L and the brother signs his as C.
Yep.
So what I had said is mid-chapter, back to Prisca, who is nursing her mother, who is doing Professor Trelawney. She's groggy AF and needs some sleep. So Prisca daydreams about poor Lena, whose family is now dead and Lena's a prisoner. Prisca's mum goes on to profess her love for her, despite us finding out some vast discrepancies later on in the chapter. She has a daytime soap award for having a solitary tear stream down her face before she reminds Prisca that she can't stay in the village because, she's doomed.
Yes, she is.
Her vision has obviously been quite problematic, but instead of letting Prisca know what she's in for, she's reminded her that she's stubborn like her father, which reminds me of my own Taurus daughter. And Prisca tries desperately to plan freedom by following Cree law to where the Oceatus stones are kept and storing her magic there temporarily to avoid the assessor's assessment.
Prisca, you work in a bakery.
Go bake some bread.
There is no way you are going to follow this man and then find a stone and put your magic in it so that Severus Snape doesn't get you. No.
She has time not for that anyway.
Exactly. Her mother refuses to tell her what she saw in the vision, citing that Sears had rules in place because sometimes to tell someone their future was to bring about a fate that was much, much worse. I don't think so.
Yeah, nah.
Not when it includes your death.
I've got some things to say about that a bit later.
Yeah.
Mum rains on Prisca's parade, essentially, and they eat soup for dins. Do we think it's hug in a mug?
No, it's definitely like watery chicken
brothy
broth.
bullshit.
Yeah. It was someone would have nabbed those loose chickens.
Yeah.
Because that's dinner,
Yeah.
right? They got
Definitely.
loose. They're free range.
In more ways than one.
Exactly.
Tibris's diary is there for Prisca to pick the lock on. And we learn that Tibris has a friend called Visa.
Mm-hmm.
Prisca is told to stay the fuck out of my things, which I quite love. And to smooth over the awkwardness, he asks if she's free for training tomorrow after she finishes her shift at Banjo's.
Yeah.
Which, if you're not in Australia, that is a bakery.
A very popular bakery. Delicious. Now she falls asleep that night and dreams of the man with the green eyes again. But
Delicious.
This time she has seen him in person. There you go.
She has.
And she wakes up in the morning and gets ready for the day. Now she's wearing comfortable slippers for cleaning. Mistake number one.
Yeah. I have noted she's dressed oddly inappropriately for the weather.
Yes.
Which is a shit move based on later events.
Yeah. And also, like, the ceremony was just yesterday. Like,
Yeah.
if you were preparing to flee, which it feels like you are, you'd be ready at all hours, wouldn't you? Like, you wouldn't sleep naked. You'd sleep ready to go.
Yeah.
So
you would. You would be on edge.
And Tibris even questions if she should in fact wear her winter boots instead, but she assures him that it's only a short walk to and from the bakery. You know, and that might be the case, but not today, Satan.
Not today.
Now, there's a knock at the front door.
Oh, further deliciousness.
And turns out it's
Thol.
Thol. Thol. Oh, Thol.
Thol. I
And-
do have a problem with this name, just by the way. But
Do you?
anyway,
Okay.
it's fine, but it's annoying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thol.
Thol.
Thol, yeah.
Like you're saying
Like-
soul with a lisp.
Oh, I was going to say thong.
Soul.
Thol.
Thol.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And she greets him and he asks if she will take a walk with him tomorrow morning. Like,
Love that.
it's very ye old, isn't it?
It
Because
is.
you couldn't exactly send a text organising to catch up tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
You've got to go and see them, but then it also makes the point redundant. You could just do it now.
Yeah.
But anyway.
You're not swiping right.
No.
No.
And she agrees and they are going to meet in the square. And she feels light and happy and bubbly and giggly and all that sort of shit before she realises or remembers rather who Thol's father is.
Yeah.
And he is in fact the head counsellor for the village.
Yes.
And there's no point in even spending time with Thol because she will be found out and her entire family will die. Or if she entertains something, it will be harder when she does eventually leave.
Correct. Upon her arrival at Banjo's, we see the door cracked and Creelaw is standing with his back to Prisca in the bakery and he turns around with that smug smile that he wears. And we now realise we've got a villain. The first of the book, other than, you know, the people who slaughtered Lena's elderly grandparents. And
That have
because-
actually done something bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So broom in hand, Prisca tries to distract Creelaw so he doesn't hurt a trapped Chista, remembering Thol's younger sister. Things escalate to the point that Prisca,
Turns into Gandalf. That broom is a weapon.
it really is a staff,
And she wields it as such.
and she wields her fucking time magic.
She does. Yeah.
She stops time for fuck's sake.
So that is her magic.
Oh my goodness.
Not a passive magic, as was Lena.
Correct.
It is very much an active magic.
Yeah.
And she uses it to bat his hand away because he goes to punch Chista. He goes to punch Chista and she uses her magic to intercept his hand before it makes contact with her face.
The great deflection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Creelaw doesn't recognise what she just did. but somebody else does.
After all she's done for her.
I know.
She fucks off to Dob.
Yeah, right off.
Right off.
Out the door.
Couldn't believe it.
So, yeah, she attacks Krelor with the staff, which is no longer a brew.
You shall not pass.
Yes. She hits him in the face and in the groin, which is fantastic. I love it when women hit men in the groin.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he staggers out and she sits down on the ground and she's shocked at what happened, and she decides that she just needs to sit for a little bit, which, yeah, I get it.
She's spiraling now because somebody knows and Chista has made haste out the fucking door, and she's like, ooh.
What am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Like, you haven't had your whole life to prepare for this.
Yeah.
You've got your knitted slippers on. So she realizes finally she needs to move. She needs to go and find Chista and beg for her silence, warn her family that somebody else knows, etc. And she starts staggering towards her home in a trance. But she's suddenly grabbed by a cloaked figure, which turns out to be Mum.
Thank fuck.
She's up and she is striding towards the forest, dragging Priska along.
Now,
where did this energy come from? She's had a barocca.
Well, she's definitely had a fizz stick or two. I'm quite annoyed at Mum because now is the time that she should have told her yesterday that the vision was actually about Chista going and telling the guard that she's been flirting with for a few weeks now.
Yeah.
So she spilled the beans. Mum's like, fuck, I've got to do something here. And they make haste towards a cliff. You'd think Mum would have brought the bag that Priska's had packed since the dawn of fucking time with all of the things that will save her life over the next few days.
And she realised that if her mum had have told her, she would have grabbed the bag this morning.
Correct.
So not only did she not tell her and she didn't grab the bag, Mum also didn't bring the bag.
Yeah. And that little tidbit from Tidbris about wearing the winter boots would have been like, not the knitted slippers and stuff.
Now she's itching to run, but her mother blurts out that she kidnapped her as a child and didn't expect her to love her the way that she does, which is both a compliment and an insult.
Yes, it's a backhanded compliment at best.
And she said, I knew you had to live so you could save us all, but first you must find the prince, find him and meet your fate. And
whatever that means.
She's very confused because the prince is the king's son and the king is the one that's doing all this. So why in the fuck would his son give a shit about her? But also,
or is it?
You kidnapped me.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Struggling with that concept.
Yeah.
The guards are approaching.
In fact, I laughed out loud because they burst through the trees and yelled, "Submit to arrest."
I quite love this actually.
Submit
I feel like we need to say this at work more often.
Yes.
But Mama extends her hands for one last hug and then says, "Swim, my darling," and shoves Priska off the cliff. And do you know what I thought of?
What?
In this moment?
What?
The old lady that is on the Titanic, holding the fucking whatever that fucking diamond is that,
the heart of the ocean.
Oh, actually, I forgot you're a Titanic fan. And she goes, oh, and she throws the heart of the ocean.
$80,000 diamond.
Yeah, that's how I imagine Priska's mum thrusting her off the cliff. Struggle, cold, everything goes black.
I can't get over Swim, my darling. It's like I can't get over it. It's brilliant writing, but hilarious.
Stacia snaps.
Yes, she does go through the rapids or thereabouts. Yeah, her dress gets caught. She rips it at the last second. She's tossing and being thrown and tumbled around. All of a sudden, something grabs her arm, something warm, and she falls unconscious right at that point. Fair.
Good. And
she wakes to the kiss of life. A warm body above me, a mouth on mine. I hate that when I wake up. I hate it.
Oh, I think you'd be quite pleased if you were drowning for the kiss of life.
But just
not waking up from sleep.
But my first thought, I think it'd be worse than waking up from sleep.
What if though you wouldn't have morning breath?
Yeah, but you wouldn't know. You'd just be like, oh, I was dead and now I'm alive. Yeah. Whereas in the morning I'm like, I'm fucking awake now. Fuck off.
So there's a big dark-skinned, delicious man looking down at her. Oh, and she politely says, thank you, before asking, who are you? And he says, my name's Gallon.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, that's a nice introduction.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah. And he touches her cheek and her
Yeah.
clothes and body become instantly dry.
I love this.
Yeah.
Power at its very best. Priska suddenly hears more hoofsies and she counts 5 men, including the one at her side. So Gallon proclaims that he found a village girl drowning in the river.
Not a selkie.
Not a selkie. And addresses the leader of the group that we know to be Lorien. I wrote Lorraine.
Moth!
Lorraine is described as a huge man with broad shoulders. Can't take us seriously. Lorien is described as a huge man with broad shoulders and massive muscles that rippled when he moved. Dark hair that falls past his shoulders with small braids, and his jaw looked like it could take a punch.
Sickeningly handsome and covered in scars.
Fuck yeah. Masculine features like he's carved from stone and almost feral beauty with green eyes.
He's beautiful.
Hello, new book boyfriend. Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Priska knows those eyes very well, but there's no recognition in Lorien's eyes whatsoever. He pays zero attention to her and says, leave her, Gallon. We don't have time for this. She knows her survival is based on staying with these men, so she begs them for some sort of help. And Gallon gives her his cloak and looks visibly guilty, but Lorien has absolutely nothing in those green eyes of his. She mentally prepares herself for the fight of her life as she tries to envisage a time where either Visa or Tibris would find her. And she vows that one day she's going to find the man who ordered Gallon to leave her for dead and make him pay. So we know we're going to see our book boyfriend again.
Yes. She's feisty, isn't she?
Fierce. She reminds me of Violet Sorrengale. She's like a little pocket rocket. She's feisty. She's, you know, full of sass.
Yeah.
But in a cool way. She's not like Feyre. Do you know what I mean? Like she's just got something about her. And
I think
obviously
she just has a fire in her.
Yeah. And this magic makes her fucking cool.
Yes.
Yeah. It's epic.
We jump into Lorien's point of view and Cavus makes his displeasure clear. He wanted to have helped the woman by the river, and Lorien is like, oh, he's got a soft spot for animals, children and women. And he says, you know, she won't last long in the forest and it may have just been kinder to let her drown. And Lorien's like, well, but travelling with a woman would attract too much attention. They're on a stealth mission. And he doesn't want to take the time that it would take to escort her back to her village, which is a few days, and then draw questions from the guards around their movements. They're on a very tight schedule.
Could they
for who knows what at this point.
We don't know.
He acknowledges that she was a pretty little thing, but he saw a fire in her and knew she would be trouble. Well, little do you know.
Yes.
Rethos is the cook, and Lorien knows that his meals will now either be burnt or totally raw for the next few days because he's pissed. And Priska now, we go into her point of view, and she's trudging along following the river for the next few days because what else do you do? By some sort of miracle, she's stayed alive, but she's aiming to reach a town called Mistrun, and it's a tiny village to the north where she will try to steal some food, clothing and supplies.
All the stuff that would have been in the bag that Mama didn't spare 10 seconds to grab.
Correct.
Yeah.
Even though she knew it was coming all night.
Yeah. Correct.
She's quite distracted by her thoughts and doesn't realise that she's been spotted by a hunter. He tells her that he knows who she is and that he'll make it quick.
He says news travels fast, definitely faster than a half-soaked, half-drowned, white-dressed, no-boots wildcat. Tibris trained her for this though. Bang his nose, finds the knife. Like every good survival instinct kicks in. Her female main character energy, she chucks it in his throat.
Yeah.
She's going for the kill.
She's smart too. She
Perfect.
tosses the rock, which scares the horse, And then he's like, oh, I don't want to lose my horse, but also I want to kill you.
Correct.
So what do I do? It's very smart.
Yeah.
And once he's dead, she vomits and cries over her first death before cleaning off in the river, as a good woman would do.
A mixture of spew and blood.
Yeah.
She feels nothing.
No.
She gets murder shamed by the horse.
Yes.
With judgy eyes.
Yeah.
And she wins him over and gives him a pat before she finds some sweet, sweet sustenance in the saddle bag, which she cleverly takes off the horse.
Yes.
One murder down and sweet survival in her future. Transport, food, weapons, warm clothes, done. Like she's fucking ready.
Yeah. She's got a horse too.
Yeah.
Off she goes.
But then it spooks and off it fucks.
And also, just as someone who owns horses, firstly, getting spooked by a rock.
Yeah.
And then spooked by a twig snapping. Your horse is probably not very good.
No. Yeah.
It's either very young or very underexposed.
Yeah. They haven't been hacked.
Especially for a hunter's horse. I would expect most mounts that go trail riding are very hardy. It takes a lot to scare those sort of horses. Yeah. So anyway, this one probably wasn't much good and she wouldn't stay on for much long anyway.
Absolutely.
And she's mad.
Oh,
she's furious, in fact,
yeah.
that the gods rejected her offer. And she decides just to stay alive to spite them. And honestly, I can relate to that kind of energy.
Me
just
too.
Surviving out of spite.
But more so, she's spurred on, fueled mostly by her fury, to pay back Lorien's green eyes for leaving her dead by the river.
Yeah.
She's ready.
Dead and wet by the river.
Yeah. So she comes to a bridge. And there's a guard.
Yeah.
And he's pacing to keep himself awake, much like I do on night shift.
Yes. Yep. Get those steps up.
Yep. It's between the 4 and 5 a.m. sillies that seem to be 17 years long that I experience almost every week.
Correct.
Her mind wanders to what Asinia, her bestie, must be thinking of her. Honestly, girl, just forget about that for the moment. You're probably never going to see her again.
Yeah.
Or will you?
Or will you?
She fakes the damsel in distress to get past the guard. And as she gets close enough, she yeets him into the river. Ding dong, dickhead.
Yeah. She's concerned that she's contemplating murdering just so easily. And honestly, I'm always on the edge.
This is you. Priska is you.
Yes, I'm feeling more and more relatable to her. But anyway, she gives her no time to wonder if he'll survive because she cares not, and so do I. She legs it to the forest on the other side of the bridge and she walks as far as she can before she physically needs to stop and hide/sleep. The sun rises, she's up again. She's up and moving the next morning. She climbs a small hill to survey the area and decides to stick to the forest until she gets closer to Lestrin. To do that, though, she needs to cross another river, which has a lot of information on, but honestly, she crosses it without too much issue. She walks all day and it gets dark, but ahead of her, she sees a glowing fire.
Who could it be?
Sweet, sweet joy. She creeps closer and she sees the same men that left her, and they're rubbing it in by lazing around their beautiful warm fire.
I feel like they need a nickname, like as a group, you know, a collective noun.
Yes.
And I did toy with the idea of the pretty posse.
Oh,
because they kind of, you know, the horseback vibe, it's giving Red Dead Redemption, it's giving cowboys.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure they have delicious British accents like Henry Cavill though.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes, of course they would.
Yeah. But anyway, the pretty posse is what I've written.
The pretty posse.
So far.
Okay. Now, she only sees 4, though, remembering there are 5 in total, 1 likely on guard duty. She knows that much. She's not wilderness, but she knows that much. And she spots their horses and they're conveniently located next to their supply packs. And she decides to get her revenge. She'll steal their supplies, leaving them with nothing, just like they did to her.
Yeah.
Good. And she slowly creeps around to the other side of the campsite, thinking she's slick as fuck. Just as she's about to make her move, she glances back to the campsite again and sees that Lorien's gone. His voice is suddenly behind her and he says, "Did you think we didn't know you were here, village girl?"
Village girl.
I would be so offended.
Oh, same. I'd be ropeable, actually.
and she ducks his attempt to grab her, and they have a little scuffle, and it essentially ends up with him on top of her, and they both have a knife to each other's necks. One of the other men, obviously he's got 4 for backup, come over and grab her wrist, and they squeeze it, which forces her to drop the knife.
Yeah.
They drag her up and they start to bind her hands with a rope, but she is smart, and this is the moment when she uses her magic to stop time, and she gets out from the attempt of being bound. She makes it to the horses, and she's just about to put her foot up into the stirrup when she's unexpectedly pulled away by Lorien, who seems to shake off the magic quicker than anyone else. He pins her down and notices that there's no blue mark on the side of her temple to signify that she has magic to use. Mm-hmm. And he's instantly interested in her because how do you know?
Yeah.
He asks her how she ended up in the river and threatens that if she lies, he will throw her back in. And she blurts out the truth.
Yeah. She says the guards learn that she's one of the corrupt, and as she's talking, she realizes that her mother is long dead.
Yeah.
Or her mother
Yes.
is long
her
dead.
kidnapper.
Yeah. So Lorien, being the resourceful man that he is, proposes an offer. Obviously weighing up her magic's quite rare, and let's face it, she needs their protection.
Yes.
They banter about her being dramatic, and it's quite funny. And despite her traumas, I'm surprised she has a sense of humour at all.
Yeah.
It turns out they are both bound for the same city.
Yeah.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
And they could use Priska's power to get around undetected. So they propose that she goes with them in exchange for 3 meals a day, a horse, blankets and clothes. Honestly, it sounds like heaven
Yes.
to me.
Yeah.
Pretty bossy. And
In comparison to what she had, it's
Yeah.
quite good. Apart from the fact she doesn't know how to use her magic.
yes, it's
But-
all she can hope for.
He offers to train her.
He
So,
does.
You know, I don't see the downside, but I can see why she would be a bit sus. She knows her chances of survival would be greater in general if she could use/control her magic. So she finally agrees, but she thinks to herself that she will essentially allow them to teach her, and then she will use that knowledge to abandon them later.
Gallon looks at Priska using his cloak like Joey Tribbiani looks at baby Emma with Hugsy.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
They exchange a lot of random introductions in the group. We learn that Tibris is a healer.
Yeah.
And then Priska loses the battle of eyelids and falls asleep.
Thank you for a beautiful shift. That's it for this episode of the Night Shift Court podcast. Join us again next week as we continue Kingdom of Lies, Book 1, A Court This Cruel and Lovely.
Whichever platform you're listening on, we would so appreciate if you could leave us a 5-star review. It helps our podcast grow. You can follow us at Instagram, Facebook and TikTok at The Night Shift Court.